Prepare yourself for the most unsettling tales of those who vanished while guarding our wild spaces. From unexplained disappearances in remote mountains to rangers who walked into the wilderness and never returned. These are the cases that haunt the backcountry. From mysterious footprints to abandoned gear, the unsettling details will leave you questioning what really happened. This is 1 hour of the most disturbing disappearances of park rangers.
In the heart of Yellowstone National Park, where the air is crisp and the trees stand tall, a tale of adventure and peril unfolded. It began with two brothers, Mark O'Neill and Kim Crumbo, who shared a passion for exploration and the great outdoors. Mark, a seasoned 67-year-old adventurer from Chimacum, Washington, and Kim, a sprightly 74-year-old from Ogden, Utah, both worked for the National Park Service. Despite their age difference, they were inseparable companions, embarking on countless adventures together. Their latest escapade was a 4-night journey to Shoshone Lake, a remote and serene location nestled within the heart of the park. With their backpacks loaded and their trusty canoe Sholu strapped to the roof of Mark's Honda Pilot, they eagerly set out on their expedition. Their journey began auspiciously as they made their way to Lewis Lake Campground, the starting point of their adventure. However, upon arrival, they were met with disappointment. The campground was fully occupied. Undeterred, the resilient duo decided to improvise and kickstart their expedition a day early. Little did they know, this impromptu decision would alter the course of their journey. Opting for a makeshift campsite at South Narrow Point, they pitched their tent and settled in for the night. Underneath the vast expanse of the starlit sky, they exchanged stories, laughter, and cherished memories by the crackling campfire, relishing the tranquility of the wilderness. As dawn broke, they eagerly embarked on their canoeing expedition, navigating the tranquil waters of Shoshone Lake with Sholu as their trusty vessel. The shimmering surface of the lake reflected the surrounding majesty of towering pine trees and snow-capped peaks, instilling a sense of awe and wonder in the intrepid explorers. Their journey was initially idyllic as they paddled leisurely along the southern shore of the lake, basking in the serenity of their surroundings. However, nature had other plans in store for them. Unbeknownst to the brothers, dark clouds began to gather ominously on the horizon, heralding the onset of an impending storm. As gusts of wind intensified and waves surged with ferocity, their tranquil excursion transformed into a battle against the elements. Faced with mounting adversity, Mark and Kim strained against the tempestuous onslaught, their muscles burning with exertion as they fought to maintain control of their canoe. Yet despite their valiant efforts, the relentless fury of the storm threatened to overwhelm them. In a desperate bid for survival, they resolved to seek refuge on the nearest shore, braving the treacherous waters in a harrowing swim for safety. The icy embrace of the lake enveloped them, chilling them to the bone as they struggled against the merciless currents. With every stroke, their strength waned, and their resolve wavered. Yet fueled by sheer determination and an unbreakable bond, they pressed onward, driven by the primal instinct to survive against all odds. But fate proved unkind, as the unforgiving waters of Shoshone Lake exacted a toll too steep to bear. Exhausted and disoriented, Mark and Kim succumbed to the frigid depths, their bodies consumed by the icy embrace of the lake. Days turned into weeks, and the once vibrant spirits of Mark and Kim vanished without a trace, despite exhaustive search efforts by park rangers and rescue teams. Yet amid the solemnity of their untimely demise, the memories of Mark and Kim endured, an example to the enduring bonds of kinship and the spirit of exploration that transcends the boundaries of time and space. In the vast expanse of Kruger National Park, Checkers Mashego embarked on his routine patrol. He was a seasoned ranger, his years of experience etched into the lines of his weathered face. With each step, he traversed the familiar trails of the park, his senses attuned to the rhythm of the wilderness. On this particular evening in November, as Mashego made his way along the Unsakazi River in the Stoll's Neck section of the park, he encountered a sight that filled his heart with both wonder and concern. Nestled among the tall grasses by the riverbank was a family of elephants, their majestic forms illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. Mashego watched in awe as the elephants moved gracefully through the landscape, their movements fluid and deliberate. But as he observed them from a distance, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at the edges of his mind. Something seemed off and out of place in the otherwise tranquil scene before him. As Mashego continued his patrol, his senses on high alert, he noticed a subtle shift in the atmosphere around him. The air seemed to crackle with tension, a silent warning of unseen dangers lurking in the shadows. Despite his instincts urging him to retreat, Mashego pressed on, determined to fulfill his duty as a guardian of the park. As night fell and darkness enveloped the landscape, Mashego's unease grew, a nagging sense of foreboding that refused to be ignored. Every rustle of the leaves and every snap of a twig sent shivers down his spine, his senses heightened by the primal instinct to survive. Hours passed and Mashego found himself deep in the heart of the wilderness, far from the safety of his base camp. The moon cast an eerie glow over the landscape, illuminating the tangled undergrowth and casting long, twisting shadows across the forest floor. Suddenly, Mashego's radio crackled to life, breaking the silence of the night with a burst of static. His heart skipped a beat as he listened intently to the voice on the other end, a colleague reporting in from a nearby patrol. But as the message faded into the darkness, Mashego realized with a sinking feeling that he was alone, isolated in the vastness of the park, with no one to turn to for help. With a sense of urgency, Mashego quickened his pace, his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of being hunted by unseen predators lurking in the shadows. As dawn broke over the horizon, Mashego realized with a sinking feeling that he had lost his way. The landmarks that had once guided him were now obscured by the thick undergrowth, leaving him disoriented and vulnerable in the vast expanse of the park. Panic surged through Mashego's veins as he struggled to find his way back to safety. Every passing moment felt like an eternity, each step bringing him further into the heart of the wilderness and further from the safety of civilization. But despite his efforts, Mashego remained lost in the wilderness, his fate a mystery that would haunt the park's corridors for years to come. His family, his colleagues, and the entire community mourned his loss, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that he had ventured bravely into the unknown, never to return. And so the story of Checkers Mashego's disappearance became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the unforgiving nature of the wild and the fragile thread that binds us to the world around us. His memory lived on in the hearts of those who knew him, a proof of his courage, his dedication, and his spirit in the face of challenges. The sun rose over Rocky Mountain National Park, illuminating the rugged landscape below. Jeff Christensen, a park ranger with a heart as big as the mountains themselves, began his patrol on July 29, 2005. He was a man of the wilderness, born and raised in Minnesota, where forests stretch for miles and lakes glisten like jewels in the sun. From a young age, Jeff had felt a deep connection to nature, spending his days exploring the great outdoors with a sense of wonder and adventure. As Jeff set out on his patrol that fateful day, the air was crisp and cool, carrying with it the scent of pine and the promise of adventure. He was a seasoned ranger, well-versed in the ways of the wilderness, and he approached each day with a sense of purpose and dedication. For Jeff, being a park ranger wasn't just a job, it was a way of life, a calling that had led him to Rocky Mountain National Park, where he felt most at home. As he wandered deeper into the heart of the park, Jeff couldn't help but marvel at the beauty that surrounded him. Tall peaks loomed in the distance, their snow-capped summits reaching toward the sky. The landscape was alive with the sounds of wildlife, from the chirping of birds to the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. It was a place of beauty where nature reigned supreme, and Jeff felt truly alive. But amidst the beauty, there lingered a sense of unease, a whisper of doubt that danced on the edge of Jeff's consciousness. It was a feeling he couldn't quite shake. like a shadow lurking just beyond the reach of the sun. As the day wore on and Jeff ventured deeper into the wilderness, the feeling only grew stronger, gnawing at him like a hungry beast. No one, not even Jeff, knew that it would be the last time that he'd be seen alive. Hours passed and night fell over the wilderness like a shroud. Jeff was nowhere to be found, his fate shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. As dawn broke over Rocky Mountain National Park, a sense of dread hung heavy in the air, a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurked in the wilderness. The search for Jeff would become the largest in the history of the park, drawing in hundreds of volunteers and search teams from across the country. But despite their efforts, Jeff's disappearance would remain one of the greatest mysteries in the annals of Rocky Mountain National Park. Days passed, but there was still no sign of Jeff. His family and friends refused to give up hope, clinging to the belief that somewhere, somehow, he was still out there, waiting to be found. Then, on August 6, 2005, a hiker stumbled upon a grisly discovery: the lifeless body of Jeff Christensen, lying amidst the rugged beauty of the Mummy Range. The news sent shockwaves through the park community, casting a pall of sadness over the once vibrant landscape. But even in death, Jeff's legacy lived on. His dedication to the wilderness he loved inspired a wave of change within the park, leading to the introduction of high-visibility safety apparel for field rangers. It was a fitting tribute to a man who had dedicated his life to protecting others, even at the cost of his own. As Jeff's family and friends gathered to mourn his passing, they took solace in the knowledge that he died doing what he loved, exploring the wild and beauty of Rocky Mountain National Park. And though his loss was keenly felt, his spirit would forever linger in the whisper of the wind and the rustle of the leaves, a silent guardian watching over the wilderness he loved so dearly. In the heart of Fort Collins, where the jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains loomed in the distance, there lay a tranquil oasis known as Horsetooth Reservoir. Its shimmering waters beckoned to all who sought solace amidst the chaos of modern life, offering a sanctuary where troubles melted away like snowflakes on a warm spring day. Brendan Unit, a man with a heart as vast as the wilderness itself, had always felt drawn to the beauty of Horsetooth. From a young age, he had spent countless hours exploring its shores, marveling at the wonders that lay hidden beneath the surface. It was here, amidst the whispering pines and rocky outcrops, that Brendan felt most alive. As he grew older, Brendan's love for the outdoors blossomed into a passion for conservation and stewardship. He dreamt of a future where he could dedicate himself to protecting the natural world, ensuring that future generations could experience its wonders just as he had. And so when the opportunity arose to join the ranks of the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources as a boat ranger at Horsetooth Reservoir, Brendan leaped at the chance. It was a dream come true, a chance to merge his love for the outdoors with his desire to serve his community. From the moment he donned his ranger hat and stepped onto the deck of his patrol boat, Brendan knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. Day in and day out, he patrolled the reservoir's waters, keeping a watchful eye for signs of trouble and lending a helping hand to those in need. Whether it was assisting stranded boaters, rescuing lost hikers, or simply sharing his vast knowledge of the local flora and fauna, Brendan approached each day with unflinching dedication and boundless enthusiasm. His infectious smile and warm demeanor endeared him to all who crossed his path. But amidst the laughter and camaraderie, Brendan never forgot the solemn responsibility that came with his badge. He knew that Horsetooth Reservoir could be as unforgiving as it was beautiful, its tranquil waters concealing dangers both seen and unseen. It was a lesson he would soon learn firsthand. One fateful afternoon, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast its golden glow across the water, Brendan received a distress call from a group of boaters stranded on the far side of the reservoir. Without hesitation, he revved the engine of his patrol boat and set off into the gathering dusk, determined to lend aid to those in need. But as he raced across the water, a sudden gust of wind swept down from the mountains, catching Brendan off guard and sending his boat careening off course. Panic surged within him as he fought to regain control, the darkness closing in around him like a suffocating blanket. In the chaos that ensued, Brendan's boat was lost in the churning waters, leaving him stranded and alone as darkness gathered. With each passing moment, the storm continued its relentless assault, its fury unabated, while Brendan clung to the hope of rescue amidst the howling winds and crashing waves. But as the hours stretched into eternity, Brendan knew that his fate was sealed, and then, as swiftly as it had begun, the storm subsided, leaving nothing behind but an empty expanse of water and the echoes of a life cut short before its time. Brendan Unit had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only memories and a legacy that would endure long after the waters of Horsetooth Reservoir had stilled. In the heart of Yosemite Valley, where the ancient trees stand tall and proud, there was a man named John Blevins Cogdell III. He wasn't just any man, he was a ranger, someone who looked after Yosemite National Park. John's days were filled with exploring nature's wonders, trees, waterfalls, and blue skies. With his blonde-gray hair shining in the sunlight and his eyes as blue as the sky, he loved wandering around the park, making sure everything was okay. One sunny day, as birds chirped and leaves rustled in the wind, John went out for his usual walk. He had a map and a smile, ready to see what Yosemite had in store. As he walked, John saw all sorts of animals, a family of deer eating grass, a squirrel running around, and even an eagle flying high above. Each sight made him happy and reminded him why he loved his job. But as the day went on and the sun got higher, John felt something strange. It was like a weird feeling in his stomach, as if something wasn't right in the park. Despite feeling strange, John kept going, wanting to do his job as a ranger. He checked trails, watched animals, and made sure everything was okay. But no matter what he did, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. As the afternoon turned into evening and the shadows got longer, John found himself in a quiet part of the park, a place not many people went to. The air smelled like trees and dirt, and the only sound was the wind blowing through the leaves. In the middle of this quiet spot, John found a little clearing, a secret place hidden away from everything else. In the middle of the clearing was a big oak tree, its branches reaching up to the sky. Underneath the tree, John felt calm and peaceful, a feeling as if he belonged there. He stayed for a while, enjoying the quiet, before he had to leave. But as the sun went down and the forest got dark, John started to feel nervous. It was like the trees were talking to him, whispering secrets in the wind. With a heavy heart, John walked back home, feeling scared and unsure. And then, out of nowhere, it got really dark, and John disappeared into the night. As the hours passed, Yosemite Valley waited for John to come back, hoping he was okay. But he never did, leaving everyone wondering what happened to John Blevins Cogdell III, the ranger who loved the wilderness. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, but there was no sign of John. The park rangers searched high and low, but there was no trace of him anywhere. Some people said that John had gotten lost in the woods, while others believed that something more sinister had happened, but no one knew for sure, and the mystery of John's disappearance remained unsolved. As time went on, the memory of John began to fade, replaced by new stories and new adventures. But for those who knew him, the pain of his loss lingered, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked in the wilderness. In August 2010, in the vast boundaries of western Alaska, a small float plane went on a journey that would soon become a tale of suspense and determination. In the center of majestic Katmai National Park, Alaska, three brave Park Service rangers, Mason McLeod, Neil and Seth Spradlin, along with their experienced pilot, set out on a routine flight from Swikshack Bay to King Salmon. The skies were clear, and the plane, a de Havilland Beaver, took off at 1:45 p.m. local time. Little did they know their adventure would take an unexpected turn. The weather was unstable that day, with a powerful storm worsening conditions. Despite the flight being only an hour from the park to King Salmon, it faced unexpected challenges. The usual straightforward journey became difficult as the heavy storm wreaked havoc. As the hours passed, anxiety heightened in the park authorities when the small float plane failed to arrive at King Salmon Airport as scheduled. Concerns heightened and the news of the missing plane spread like wildfire. The Rangers community, friends, and family held their breath, hoping for a safe return. They didn't get any emergency calls or messages from the plane. They couldn't hear anything on the radio because the signals were too weak. This made everyone uncertain about what happened with the plane and the people on board. The absence of communication added to the mystery, leaving everyone in the dark about the plane's fate and the well-being of the passengers. Without any signals or messages, there was a sense of worry and confusion among the search teams and those waiting for news about their loved ones. The weak signals made it difficult for anyone to figure out the situation. The search operation began with a collaboration of forces including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Alaskan Air National Guard, the Park Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Alaska State Troopers, and a private air service. Battling poor visibility, the team scoured the vast wilderness. The clock ticked, and by 10:30 p.m. local time, the search had yielded no signs of the missing plane. Meanwhile, a second plane carrying 2 additional park employees reached King Salmon from the same route. However, worsening weather conditions forced them to fly a mere 500 feet, following river drainage to avoid dangerous mountainous terrain. Despite the challenges, they reported no severity. After a continuous 2-week search, the search team started to lose hope. However, the families of the missing Rangers anxiously awaited news, desperate for any sign of their loved ones. Mason McLeod's family, refusing to yield to despair, turned to the internet, rallying support and raising the reward for information to $65,000. Weeks were passing as the search expanded, covering 280 miles southwest of Anchorage, near King Salmon. Arnold, Mason's cousin, and other family members created a website, pleading for donations to fund a private plane for an extended search. The struggle to overcome the vastness of the Alaskan wilderness and the financial burdens of the search intensified. Despite the unstoppable efforts of authorities and Mason's family, there was no trace of Mason and his fellow Rangers. Despite the pain of uncertainty, the National Transportation Safety Board released its final report after a month of tireless search. The absence of a flight recorder left the mystery shrouded in ambiguity. The report suggested the probable cause was the pilot's temporary unresponsiveness, the reasons for which remained elusive. The National Park Service, grappling with the aftermath, revealed a grim picture. It seemed the plane had collided with a cliff over a remote beach in the state, leaving no sign of survivors. The once hopeful search shifted into a sad acceptance of the harsh reality. And as the families grappled with grief, the Alaskan wilderness retained its secrets, forever concealing the details of that fateful flight. The missing Rangers, once the guardians of Katmai National Park, became a part of its untamed legacy. And so the mystery of the missing float plane unfolded, leaving the community and the families haunted by unanswered questions, forever etched in the annals of Alaska's. It was 2020, and in the huge and breathtaking Kruger National Park, South Africa, there lived a dedicated field ranger named Checkers Mashego. Checkers was known for his bravery and commitment to protecting the wildlife in the park. He was unaware that one fateful evening would turn his routine patrol into a mysterious disappearance. It was the early evening of Tuesday, November 17, 2020, when Checkers set out on his routine patrol along the Nzakazi River in the Stoll's Neck section of Kruger National Park. The sun was setting, projecting a warm glow on the beautiful park. Checkers, clad in his full ranger uniform, carried his rifle, cell phone, and radio, ready to face the challenges of the wild. As night fell, Checkers failed to arrive at the agreed meeting point, causing concern among his fellow rangers. The section ranger Stoll's Neck and his ranger corps began a thorough search through the night. With the support of a Sandparks helicopter, K-9 unit, and additional ranger force, they searched the vast boundaries of Kruger National Park to find their missing comrade. The next day passed and hope began to wane. Despite their best efforts, Checkers Mashego remained elusive, lost somewhere in the heart of Kruger National Park. Sandparks officials, in coordination with the South African Police Service, or SAPS, registered a missing persons report. Checkers' family was informed, adding a layer of worry to an already tense situation. The helicopter hovered above the limitless park, the K-9 unit sniffed for any trace, and rangers scoured the wilderness. Yet Checkers Mashego seemed to have vanished without a trace. The mystery deepened and whispers of uncertainty were buzzing through the park. A depressing discovery added a new chapter to the story a month later. Human remains, including part of a skull, were found at the Kruger National Park. Alongside these remains were items suspected to belong to Checkers Mashego. The investigation teams from SAPS and the Environmental Crime Unit intensified their efforts, combing the area for possible clues. Colonel Donald Umdaluli of the SAPS confirmed that an investigation was underway to determine the circumstances of Checkers' disappearance. However, the twist in the tale came with the results of the DNA tests conducted on the skull. It was not Checkers Mashego's skull, but that of another woman, unraveling the mystery further. Checkers' wife, Nomsa Maseko, spoke of her family's financial hardships since his disappearance. 3 long years had passed, yet the case remained unsolved, leaving the Kruger National Park and its inhabitants haunted by the mystery of the missing field ranger. In the cruel African wilderness, where each rustle of leaves and every distant roar held secrets, the unanswered questions about Checkers Mashego's disappearance are still looking. In the peaceful northern wilderness of Alberta, on April 23, 2017, 4 hunters began a journey into the middle of nature. Among them were Walter Ladoucer, Andrew Ladoucer, Keith Martin, and Keenan Cardinal. United by the thrill of the hunt, they set out on the Rocha River, ready for an adventure that would soon take a tragic turn. Walter and Andrew Ladoucer, brothers bound by blood and shared experiences, were the 4th Canadian Ranger Patrol Group members. Alongside them was Keith Martin, a seasoned member with 15 years of experience, and Keenan Cardinal, their hunting companion. They were unaware that their hunting trip would become a story to remain forever in the community's memories. As the sun descended the skyline on that fateful April evening, the 4 hunters departed from Fort Chipewyan, their boats slicing through the waters of the Rocha River. The air was filled with excitement and the promise of adventure. However, the next day brought an unsettling truth. The hunters were missing. The news spread like wildfire, casting a shadow of concern over the tight-knit community. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, swiftly organized a search party, bringing together dozens of volunteers to comb through the uneven ground in search of the lost hunters. Hope waited around, but the mystery deepened as days turned into nights. With each passing day, the search efforts intensified. The RCMP, equipped with boats and helicopters, navigated the twisting Rocha River, its path fragmented by islands. The vast expanse of rugged terrain challenged even the most determined searchers. As Chief Corterreal expressed, the river was not straight, it was divided by an island, so it made the search broader. The community rallied, boats crisscrossing the river, but the hunters had disappeared. Days turned into weeks, and uncertainty hung in the air. Despite the favorable weather, the limitless wilderness proved to be a formidable adversary. The RCMP, passionate in their aim, showed no signs of giving up, offering a glimmer of hope to the families yearning for their loved ones' return. April 30th brought a somber revelation. The lifeless body of Walter Ladoucer was found upriver from where their boat had been discovered in Wood Buffalo National Park. The echoes of grief reverberated through the community. The search continued for Keenan Cardinal and the remaining missing hunters. As May 1st dawned, another heartbreaking discovery shook the community. Keenan Cardinal's lifeless body was recovered, leaving only 2 members of the hunting party unaccounted for, Andrew Ladoucer and Keith Martin. The weeks passed and the search persisted. The families clung to hope that their loved ones would be found alive. Yet on June 25th, the Rocha River revealed its secrets. The bodies of Andrew LaDucer and Keith Martin were found mere hours apart, about 8 kilometers north of where their boat had been discovered. The 4th Canadian Ranger Patrol Group members were now forever part of the river they had explored together. The Rocha River, once a symbol of adventure, became a reminder of the fragility of life. The community, now draped in the shadows of grief, mourned the loss of 4 brave hunters. The RCMP's dedication and the nonstop support of the community showcased the duty strength that emerges in times of tragedy. As the sun set on the Rocha River, it cast a golden glow on the waters that had witnessed both the thrill of life and the pain of unpredictable death. The tale of the 4 hunters would forever live in the collective memory of a community that had endured the twists of. In the Rocky Mountain National Park, where uneven surface and sky-high peaks create a majestic yet risky landscape, seasoned ranger Jeff Christensen went on a solo backcountry patrol in July 2005. His knowledge fell short of alarming him that this routine expedition would unfold into a tragic tale of danger and the importance of safety. Jeff, a fit and experienced ranger in his 4th season, started his day-long patrol of the Mummy Range at Chapin Pass Trailhead. The day held promise, the sun shining brightly as he set out to ensure the safety of the park's vast wilderness. As the clock struck 11 a.m., Jeff's coworker dropped him off, and he began his ascent into the high, rocky terrain. Hours later, reports suggested he was seen at 1:30 p.m., likely summiting the insecure Ypsilon, a peak towering at 13,514 feet. However, tragedy struck as he descended. Jeff Christensen fell between the summit and the vast basin between Ypsilon Mountain and Mount Chiquita. The exact location and the extent of the fall remained shrouded in mystery. Concerns rose when Jeff failed to return as the afternoon sun descended below the peaks. A coworker, realizing something was wrong, reported him missing. This missing report triggered an intensive 8-day search for the lost ranger. The park mobilized a passionate team of 200 searchers, rescue dogs, and helicopters, embarking on one of the largest and longest search efforts in the park's history. Day by day, the searchers combed through the unforgiving terrain, each moment filled with the uncertainty of what might be uncovered. As the search team continued, hope waned with each passing day. In the middle of the search, rescuers encountered a baffling mystery. Gunfire and radio clicks were received through the rocky expanse. They believed it was Jeff attempting to signal them from the depths of the rugged landscape. The air filled with questions as investigators delved into the enigmatic signals. Amidst the vastness of the Rocky Mountains, a hiker stumbled upon a horrific scene on the 8th day of the search. Jeff Christensen's lifeless body lay in a steep-walled basin, the same landscape he had tirelessly patrolled. The coroner estimated his demise between 6 p.m. and midnight on the day of his solo expedition, which means on July 29, 2005. His head was smashed, and there seemed to be internal bleeding. His clothes were torn, and there were scratches all over his body. This condition was telling the pain he suffered before his death. The aftermath of Jeff's tragic fall prompted a reflection on safety protocols within the Park Service. The report emphasized the need for rangers to communicate changes in their travel plans and the acquisition of equipment like satellite phones for areas with poor radio coverage. Helmets available to rangers became a subject of discussion, and the report recommended the development of protocols for their usage. The tale of Jeff Christensen's ascent and untimely fall is a narrative of a ranger's dedication and a cautionary reminder of the dangers inherent in high-elevation terrains. The Rocky Mountains, majestic yet risky, witness the challenges faced by those tasked with preserving their beauty. Ultimately, Jeff's story underscores the importance of appropriate safety measures, equipment, and communication protocols in a park ranger's unpredictable and unforgiving world. Story 5. In the shadows of Horsetooth Reservoir, Brendan Unit, a dedicated ranger with Larimer County Natural Resources, went on a mission to protect the public and the park's resources. Brendan, a 27-year-old ranger known for his selflessness and contagious laugh, patrolled the Horsetooth Reservoir, ensuring the safety of boaters and campers. On this fateful night, a severe storm with unexpected strong winds spread a black shadow over the serene waters. It was just last year when he dedicated himself entirely to ensuring the safety of park visitors, offering a helping hand and beacon of hope in times of crisis. His life turned unexpectedly on that fateful Thursday, August 20th, 2020. As storm clouds gathered ominously over Horsetooth Reservoir, a distress call echoed. 2 swimmers were battling the raging waters, their pleas for aid reaching Brendan's courageous heart. Reports revealed that evidence suggested Ranger Brendan Unit intentionally beached his patrol boat on the west shore of the reservoir. His purpose was to check on boating campsites when that distress call came in from fellow rangers seeking assistance for 2 boaters in trouble near Soldier Canyon Dam. Without hesitation, he set forth into the storm, risking everything valiantly to rescue those in peril. Amid the storm's fury, Brendan's selflessness shone bright, but tragically, it became his final act of heroism. His sacrifice is a testament to the unwavering dedication of a ranger who gave his all to protect others. During this critical moment, an unexpected and forceful wind swept across the reservoir, reaching up to 35-mile-per-hour gusts. Rangers reported hearing fragmented radio communications, presumably from Unit. Subsequently, all communication ceased, and Unit did not respond to the call for help with the distressed boaters, who were rescued by other rangers shortly after 9 p.m. Concerned about Unit's well-being, the rangers initiated a search. They located his patrol boat on the east side of the reservoir near Rotary Park, but Unit was not on board. Fearing the worst, an emergency call was broadcast, appealing to others for assistance in the search for Brendan Unit. The search team started to search the area through the night with ground crews, boats, drones, and aerial support. The search intensified, hoping to find Brendan on the shore where he patrolled on foot. Instead, a life vest, a crucial piece of a ranger's gear, surfaced, raising more questions than answers. In the eerie hours past midnight, a Colorado Parks and Wildlife boat equipped with sonar discovered Brendan's lifeless body in 12 feet of water. The proximity to the abandoned life vest added a layer of mystery to the already perplexing scenario. Sheriff Justin Smith pieced together the puzzle, suggesting Brendan intentionally beached his boat before the wind intensified. When the call for assistance came, the wind had blown his boat offshore. Brendan, aware that his life vest would inflate, rendering himself unable to retrieve the boat, made a critical decision. The unforeseen circumstances unfolded as he ventured into the water without the life vest. Distressed and pulled under, Brendan lost his life in the very act of protecting others. The coroner's autopsy confirmed accidental drowning, a sad confirmation of the sacrifice made that stormy night. Park authorities paid tribute to Brendan, emphasizing his commitment to safeguarding the public and natural resources. The heartfelt acknowledgement highlighted Brendan's threefold mission and courageous efforts that evening. A supervisor finally recalled him as a selfless ranger known for a contagious laugh. His brief yet impactful tenure of 6 months within the patrol unit left an enduring impression. The community grieved the loss of a valuable asset. A boat parade, a poignant tribute, unfolded on the reservoir's southern expanse. Around 20 vessels, slow motoring in a line, honored Brendan. Amidst the smoke from current wildfires, boaters and observers paid their respects, acknowledging the ranger who always brought life to the party. Brendan Unit, a Windsor High School graduate and former wrestler, had left an enduring legacy of selflessness, dedication, and a willingness to sacrifice for the greater good.
In the heart of southeastern Arizona, where the Chiricahua Mountains rise stark against the sky, lies a story that has echoed through the canyons for over 4 decades. It's a tale not of the land's rugged beauty, but of a man who vanished within it, leaving behind a mystery that has puzzled many and tormented those he loved. Paul Fugate, a dedicated park ranger at Chiricahua National Monument, was as much a part of the landscape as the towering rock formations and deep valleys he patrolled. At 41, his life was deeply intertwined with the park's trails and history. Known for his passion for the outdoors and commitment to conservation, Paul was a familiar face to visitors and a cornerstone in the park community. On a seemingly ordinary Sunday afternoon, January 13, 1980, Paul set out from the visitor center on a routine patrol. His destination was the faraway ranch area, a recent addition to the park he was eager to inspect. Wearing his full ranger uniform, badge proudly displayed, he told a colleague he'd return by 4:30 p.m. With a casual wave, he stepped onto the trail and into the unknown. This moment, so ordinary at the time, would be the last time anyone at Chiricahua would see him. As the hours passed, and there was no sign of Paul, concern quickly escalated into alarm. The park, his home and sanctuary, seemingly swallowed him whole. The search efforts that followed were massive in scale, employing tracking dogs, aircraft, and a battalion of volunteers from numerous agencies. Yet despite their exhaustive efforts, the rugged terrain offered no clues to Paul's whereabouts. For Dodi Fugate, Paul's wife, the sudden disappearance of her husband was a nightmare from which she couldn't awaken. The man she loved, her partner in life's adventure, had vanished. "I feel as though a part of me has just been sliced off," she said, the agony of not knowing what happened to Paul being a constant shadow in her life. The search for Paul became a search for closure, a journey that has stretched over 40 years without an end. Theories about Paul's fate abound. Some speculate he encountered foul play, perhaps stumbling upon illicit activities within the park's remote expanses. Others wonder if an accident or natural causes took him, leaving no trace in the vast wilderness. But without evidence, these theories remain speculative. The truth of Paul's disappearance is as elusive as the man himself. The pain of Paul's absence is shared by those who knew him, including Barbara Elfbrandt, a longtime friend. The weight of the mystery, the endless questions with no answers, is a burden they carry daily. "I don't believe that I did originally that it would be solved," Elfbrandt admitted, the hope once bright now dimmed by the passage of time. In 2018, the National Park Service unexpectedly decided to reopen Paul's case, citing new evidence and increasing the reward for information to $60,000. Yet they remain silent on the nature of this evidence, leaving many to wonder if the mystery that has lingered for so long might finally be solved. Despite the renewed investigation, Paul's family and friends are left with memories and the pain of his absence. "Paul and I were sort of like two halves of one person," Dodi reminisced, her words a testament to the depth of their bond. The other half of her, she feels, is somewhere out there waiting to be found. The story of Paul Fugate is a stark reminder of the vastness and mystery of the natural world, a place where beauty and danger coexist. His disappearance from Chiricahua National Monument remains one of the most enduring mysteries in the history of the National Park Service. For those who knew and loved him, the search for answers continues a quest for closure in the face of an unfathomable loss. In the heart of California's southern Sierra Nevada, within the vast wilderness of Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks, a story unfolded in July 1996 that remains etched in the memories of those who knew Randy Morganson. This tale intertwines the mysteries of nature with human emotion, highlighting the life and perplexing disappearance of an experienced backcountry ranger. James Randall "Randy" Morganson, born in 1945 in Yosemite Valley, was no stranger to the wild. His life was deeply connected to the national parks, having grown up and graduated from Yosemite National Park Valley School. For Randy, the Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park wasn't just a workplace but a sanctuary, where he spent 28 seasons as a seasonal backcountry ranger, guiding and protecting the land he loved. Described by his peers as one of the most knowledgeable rangers in the High Sierra, Randy's days started with a slow morning, savoring coffee and the stunning views outside his tent. He was a man who took the time to immerse himself in the beauty of the dawn, preparing for the day's work with a reflective calmness. His friend George Durkee remembered him as someone who approached each day and every visitor with a gentle, low-key demeanor, ensuring everyone's safety while preserving the park's pristine condition. Randy's dedication was evident in his disdain for visitors who left traces of their presence in the wilderness. He was known to carry gunny sacks on his patrols, collecting garbage left behind by those he humorously dubbed Swinus Americanus. His commitment to the park went beyond a ranger's duties. It was a personal mission to safeguard the beauty of the wilderness for future generations. On July 21, 1996, Randy embarked on what was supposed to be a routine patrol in his 80-square-mile area, starting from Bench Lake Station. He left a note on his tent, indicating his plans to be away for 2 to 3 days, but mistakenly wrote June instead of July. Randy took essentials for the journey but left behind his revolver, suggesting no anticipation of danger. This departure into the mountains was the last time anyone saw Randy alive. When days passed without any radio check-in from Randy, concern grew among his colleagues. Rick Sanger, another backcountry ranger, discovered the note on Randy's tent and reported him missing. The search that ensued was one of the most intense in National Park Service history, involving over 100 personnel combing through the wilderness, yet no trace of Randy was found. Randy's life surfaced during the investigation, revealing a man grappling with emotional turmoil. His marriage had ended in divorce after an affair came to light, leading to bouts of depression and suicidal thoughts. Randy had expressed a deep sense of loss and questioning of his life's worth, hinting at a profound inner struggle. After a thorough search yielded no results, Randy's disappearance remained a mystery until 2001, when his remains were discovered near a creek in a gorge. It appeared Randy had suffered a tragic accident, possibly falling through a snow bridge and succumbing to his injuries, hidden from the extensive searches by the snow and ice. The theories surrounding Randy's disappearance are as varied as they are speculative. Some believe he may have staged his death to secure benefits for his ex-wife, while others think it was simply a tragic accident. It remains clear that Randy Morganson's story is a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of the wilderness he loved and served, and the human fragility that can be exposed in its vast expanses. Randy's legacy lives on in the trails he patrolled and the memories of those who knew him. His life and disappearance in the Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks are a testament to the complex relationship between humans and the natural world, a relationship filled with beauty, danger, and sometimes unsolvable mysteries. Deep within the heart of Yellowstone National Park, where the wilderness stretches as far as the eye can see, there lived a ranger whose soul was as vast and profound as the landscapes he protected. Dwayne P. McClure was not just a guardian of this majestic wilderness. He was part of it. Born into a world where the rustle of leaves and the whisper of the wind were languages he understood, Dwayne grew up with a deep-seated reverence for nature that guided his life. Dwayne's journey with the National Park Service spanned a decade, a testament to his unwavering commitment to preserving the natural beauty that defined his existence. Every morning, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the serene waters of Yellowstone Lake, Dwayne embarked on his patrol. In his canoe, he moved with a grace that belied the strength and determination within him, a solitary figure against the backdrop of towering mountains and endless skies. For Dwayne, the park was more than his workplace. It was his home, a sanctuary where he found peace and purpose. He was familiar with every trail, every hidden grove, and the stories of the creatures that roamed the land. His life was intertwined with the rhythms of nature, where each day brought new challenges and wonders. But beyond his role as a protector, Dwayne was a beloved son, a brother, and a cherished friend. His laughter was as infectious as his passion for the wild, endearing him to all who had the privilege of knowing him. Then came the day that would forever mark a before and after in the story of Yellowstone. On May 22, 1980, as the park basked in the full bloom of spring, Dwayne set out on a routine patrol across Yellowstone Lake. The waters, which had witnessed countless sunrises and sunsets under Dwayne's watchful eye, were deceptively calm that day. Dwayne entered the lake's embrace with his canoe as his trusted companion, the horizon stretching endlessly before him. But as the hours passed and the shadows lengthened, a silence fell over the park. Dwayne did not return. Concern turned to alarm as his radio calls went unanswered, an ominous quiet settling over the waters he knew so well. A search was launched, a collective effort born of hope and desperation. Rangers and volunteers scoured the area, their determination fueled by the bond they shared with Duane, a man who had devoted his life to the wild. They found his canoe capsized and abandoned, a silent witness to a tragedy that remained shrouded in mystery. Despite their exhaustive efforts, Duane's fate remained unknown, the lake keeping its secrets. The wilderness, his sanctuary, had claimed him, leaving behind a void that echoed with the loss of a man whose life was a testament to the beauty and peril of the natural world. In the years that followed, Duane's legacy lived on as a beacon for those who continued to protect the parks and wilderness areas across the nation. His story is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by rangers who, like Duane, serve as the guardians of nature's wonders. It is a tale of love, loss, and the enduring spirit of a man who, in life and memory, remains an integral part of the wilderness he cherished. As the seasons change and the years pass, the memory of Duane P. McClure endures, a reminder of the profound connection between humans and the earth. In the heart of Yellowstone, where the lake's waters meet the sky, his spirit whispers with the wind, forever a part of the wild he loved. In the serene expanse of Mount Rainier National Park, where the towering peak casts its shadow over lush forests, an unforeseen tragedy shattered the tranquility of winding trails at the dawn of a new year. On the first day of January 2012, a time that promised fresh beginnings, the park became the backdrop for a story of courage, loss, and the unyielding spirit of those dedicated to protecting these sacred grounds. Margaret Anderson, a 34-year-old park ranger, mother to 2 young daughters, and a cherished member of the ranger community, set out on that chilly morning, unaware that it would be her last. Margaret, known for her gentle demeanor and unwavering dedication, was the epitome of the park's guardians, committed to safeguarding the natural beauty and the visitors who come to marvel at it. The tranquility of the park was disrupted when news broke of a man, later identified as Benjamin Colton Barnes, a troubled former soldier. Clad in the remnants of his military past and harboring a tumultuous inner turmoil, Barnes had become entangled in a web of violence that led him from a shooting in a Seattle suburb to the snowy slopes of Mount Rainier. As the park braced for the influx of visitors eager to witness the winter wonderland, a checkpoint had been established to ensure the safety of those venturing into the snow-covered paradise. It was here that Barnes, intent on evading capture, stormed through, setting off a chain of events that would forever alter the course of many lives. Margaret, stationed at Paradise, received the call to action. With a sense of duty that outweighed the risks, she positioned her patrol vehicle to block the path of the approaching menace, a barrier between danger and the unsuspecting families above. Daniel Kamicha, another ranger, joined her in this critical mission, their resolve unwavering in the face of the unknown threat. The confrontation was swift and devastating. Barnes, armed and desperate, unleashed a hail of bullets, striking Margaret before she had a chance to defend herself or retreat. Her sacrifice, a stark testament to her bravery, prevented the gunman from reaching the heart of Paradise, where the consequences could have been unimaginably dire. The park, now a scene of sorrow, echoed the efforts of those who sought to apprehend Barnes and come to Margaret's aid. But it was too late. The ranger who had dedicated her life to protecting others was gone, her legacy imprinted on the land she loved. In the days that followed, a massive manhunt unfolded across the rugged terrain as rangers and law enforcement officers pursued Barnes, who ultimately met his end in the cold embrace of the wilderness, a solitary conclusion to a path marked by turmoil. Margaret Anderson's story is a poignant reminder of the risks borne by the guardians of our national parks. Her bravery, sacrifice, and love for Mount Rainier National Park will forever be remembered as a beacon of courage in adversity. As we reflect on that fateful New Year's Day, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of the human spirit, exemplified by a ranger who stood firm in protecting the natural wonder entrusted to her care.
As a newly hired park ranger at the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee when she was assigned to be in charge of the Gatlinburg bypass in case black bears were crossing the road. The Great Smoky Mountains are known to have approximately 1,500 black bears, having one of the highest densities of black bears in the National Park Service. This is also why bear enthusiasts frequently visit this national park because of its high volume of black bears. It was a sunny afternoon when Kara was enforcing the road at Gatlinburg Bypass while constantly checking for incoming black bears that would be crossing the street. She was assigned to do this task since a black bear was once hit and killed by a car back then because no park ranger was assigned to enforce the road at that time. Kara decides to stand at the roadside to keep observing the road for black bears. So far, there were no bears, and everything was going smoothly with the traffic until she saw a black bear in the distance from the woods, heading straight for the road. Kara stood in the middle of the road and informed the cars to halt for a few minutes due to a black bear about to cross the street. The drivers obeyed her as they stopped until the black bear appeared from the woods and began to walk. However, Kara noticed the bear's strange behavior as it looked like it was looking desperately for food. When the bear got to cross the road, it didn't hesitate to surprisingly charge at Kara and tackle her down to the ground, causing immediate panic among the drivers in front of the scene. Kara was surprised as she knew black bears were not this aggressive, but she realized that this one was starving and desperate for food. The bear sat on top of Kara, clawing her face and torso, and started attempting to bite her on the arm. Kara screamed at the top of her lungs for help as she tried to reach out for the bear's eyes to poke them, but she was too weak and in pain because of the scratches on her face and torso. After a couple of minutes, 3 concerned drivers got out of their cars to help Kara, while the others got out of their vehicles to record the scene. The 3 drivers tried scaring the bear away by making loud noises, as one of them instructed the other drivers to honk their car horns so the bear would be scared away. The other drivers did as they were told, honking their horns to help Kara. When the bear was backing away, one concerned driver carried Kara away from the road. When they saw that Kara was severely wounded, they took her immediately to the nearest hospital. They informed the other authorities at the Great Smoky Mountains National Park about the incident.
On a seemingly ordinary morning in the heart of summer, Joseph Joe Kolotsky, a dedicated park ranger with 13 years of experience, prepared for his day with the same passion and commitment that had defined his career. Nestled within the majestic landscape of the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina, Joe was more than just a ranger. He was a beacon of knowledge, safety, and respect for the natural world he so dearly loved. With a heart as vast as the park he protected, Joe left behind his wife and 3 children that day, embarking on what was to be a routine patrol that turned tragically into his final act of service. June 21, 1998, dawned with the promise of another beautiful day in the park. Joe's mission was clear: to respond to a report of an individual armed with a rifle threatening the safety and peace of visitors at the Big Witch Overlook. Such calls were standard, and Joe's experience equipped him with the skills to handle potential dangers. However, the events of that day would unfold in a way that no training could have prepared him for. As Joe approached the scene, his keen instincts as a seasoned ranger led him to identify the suspect from a distance. For the safety of the park visitors and his fellow rangers, he made a tactical decision. He radioed a colleague, advising them to keep out of sight until they could devise a plan to manage the situation safely. It was a testament to Joe's leadership and commitment to protect at all costs. Turning his patrol car around, Joe returned to the overlook, ready to confront the threat. It was a decision made in the blink of an eye, fueled by his unwavering sense of duty. But fate delivered a cruel blow as he began to step out of his vehicle. Joe was ambushed and shot by the very individual he sought to disarm peacefully. The tranquility of the park was shattered by the echo of gunfire, marking a tragic end for a proper guardian of nature. The aftermath was a blur of activity and emotion. Another ranger arriving on the scene found themselves under fire before the suspect fled into the dense woods, disappearing into the very wilderness Joe had dedicated his life to protecting. Despite the valiant efforts of his colleagues and the swift response of emergency services, Joe was flown to a hospital in Tennessee, where he was pronounced dead. The sanctuary he had served became the backdrop for an immeasurable loss. The man responsible for the attack was later apprehended on the neighboring Cherokee Indian Reservation, bringing a sad closure to a frantic manhunt. The community reeled in the wake of the tragedy, grappling with the loss of a ranger who was not only an instructor of officer safety and defensive tactics, but also a beloved husband and father. The sentence handed down to the assailant, mandatory life without parole, offered a measure of justice. Yet it could never compensate for the future Joe's family was robbed of. In the years following Joe's untimely death, his legacy has been honored and remembered in many ways. Memorials and tributes have celebrated his life and service, each echoing the profound impact he had on those who knew him in the park he watched over. Joe's story, marked by dedication, bravery, and an unwavering commitment to preserving the natural beauty, inspires a sense of duty and respect for the wilderness in the hearts of rangers and visitors alike. As the seasons change and the years pass, the memory of that fateful day in June remains a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by those who serve as stewards of our national parks. Joseph Kolodzki, whose life was cut tragically short in the line of duty, lives on as a symbol of courage and a testament to the spirit of all park rangers who put their lives on the line to protect and preserve the natural wonders entrusted to their care.